Hello! I feel like it's been a long time since I've done a book update, but I guess it's only been like a month because my 2023 wrap-up went up the beginning of January, if not the end of December. So it's been probably a little over a month since I've done a book update. So I know you're wondering, how is your reading going? I know everyone's curious. So I thought I would do a little reading update vlog for this week because reading's been going well. I've already read 3 books this year. I've gotten a good routine down of reading my normal book from my TBR that I have. And then part of my morning routine is to read a chapter of a nonfiction book. And that's what I've been doing pretty regularly. So I've been getting through some nonfiction that I wouldn't normally make the time for. I want to read them, but I'm less interested, so I prioritize other things. So just having a routine of reading one chapter of a nonfiction book, that's helped me get through some of the nonfiction that I want to read. So I want to talk about some of the books that are on my TBR that are new for me this year. Some of the books from my fall end of the year TBR video last year are still on that list, so I'm not going to talk about those again. I already talked about those, but I have acquired some new books since then and since the new year, so I want to share my TBR going into 2024 and talk about the book I'm reading currently. So we'll start with the book I got for Christmas. I only got one book for Christmas, I think I only got one book for Christmas, but this is technically 3 books. It's a trilogy in one. It is called Beau Geste, and it's a fun Amazon edition. But this was a gift from my dad. He read it before he gave it to me, so he's very excited for me to read it. So based on my understanding of what this book is, it's following a group of unlikely men who become friends in the French Legion, and there's what they get up to in the French Legion. My dad thinks I will love it because I think it has sort of similar vibes to the Three Musketeers. So that's a high praise. I don't know if this will be another Three Musketeers. I don't even know if I want it to be another Three Musketeers, but this is on my TBR for this year. And then I didn't get these for Christmas, but I used Christmas money to buy myself new books. The first book I got was something that's been on my TBR for quite a while, and that is Unbury Carol by Josh Malerman. And for some reason, so I ordered this off of Amazon, a library book. That's a library book. It's got the plastic, it's got the barcodes. I don't know why they sent me a library book, but I bought it. I guess I could take it off. So basically the plot of this book is a woman who has this condition where she dies, but her deaths aren't final. She comes back. They're just like comas, I guess. And nobody knows that she dies and comes back to life except for her husband, who's plotting to basically take her money because she dies, and then a lost love of hers. Those are the only 2 people who know that she dies and comes back to life. I think the sleeve says a bit more than that, but that's all I know, and that's all I really want to know going into it. I don't like knowing too much about the books that I pick up. But this has been on my TBR for quite a while, so I'm excited to get to this year. And then the other book I bought, listen, this might even be young adult, and there's nothing wrong with reading young adult. I just don't typically pick up young adult. So a lot of these books I pick up because either my dad suggests it to me and gifts it to me, or I hear somebody on BookTube that I watch talk about it and it piques my interests. And then sometimes I come across books that I find on my own, want to pick up on my own. But a lot of times it's outside influence. So this book I heard someone talking about. This is not usually what I would gravitate towards, but for some reason I just wanted it. And there's a lot of reasons why this is weird for me, and my expectations are low. It's called The Serpent and the Wings of Night. And not only does this look like potentially young adult, I don't actually know. I could look that up, but I don't actually know. It's a high fantasy? It's fantasy romance. And it's a series. I think I'm interested in getting into a little bit more series this year. Scary, that's a big thing for me. Also fantasy romance, which is not something I pick up, potentially YA, and the type of fantasy romance. I've heard this book as being described as sorry, it's just funny and it's kind of embarrassing, but maybe it's good. I've heard this book as being described as Twilight meets Hunger Games. And maybe that's why I'm thinking it's YA, and I'm kind of judging myself for being intrigued in that description. But that's all I know about this book, is that it's vampires and it's kind of Hunger Games-esque, and that the main girl is the daughter of like this big vampire guy, but she's not a vampire. She was adopted, and she's thrown into this Hunger Games-esque scenario with other vampires, and there's romance. Doesn't that just sound great? I've been thinking about it for a while, and I purchased it myself. So I don't even know how many books are in this, but this is on my TBR for 2024. I have 4 more books here that I have acquired, and all of these I have found in the little free library that's by my house. I walk past it every day on my way to and from the gym, and so I always look in there. Most of the time they're books I've never heard of nor have any interest in, but sometimes there are books in there that I have heard of, and I'm like, oh, let me grab that, because maybe I wouldn't have bought it on my own, but since it's here and it's free, might as well read it. Worst case scenario, it sucks, and I just put it back in the little free library. So all of these books I picked up from my little free library. So the first one I picked up several weeks ago is The Guest List. Now this, I don't really know anything about this. It sounded familiar. Like I seem to recall people on BookTube talking about it, and it's like a thriller mystery, and so I like thriller mysteries, so I figured I could give it a shot. This is roughly about 13 people who have gathered for a wedding. They're old friends. There's a lot of history between the people, and then there's a body. So it's a classic whodunit on a remote island, an invitation to die for. Doesn't that sound interesting? I don't know. Sounded familiar, sounded like something that could be potentially fun and easy to read, so. And then I also picked up Les Mis. A lot of the time when I see a classic in the free little library that I'm familiar with, I pick it up. I have a gravitation towards classics. Is this high on my list to read? No, but it was free and something I can definitely see myself reading one day, if not this year. So I picked it up. It sounds like a person being wrongfully imprisoned and then dealing with the consequences of that, which sounds very familiar to other books that I love. So this is not high on my to-be-read list, but it is on there. And then another book I picked up yesterday. Again, I picked this up mostly because I recall in the recent past people talking about this book, All the Light We Cannot See. This book is based in Nazi Germany, and it just sounds like it's one of those books about a family and people living in Nazi Germany. So those are all the recent books that I have acquired since the new year that I plan on reading in 2024. Now, the book that I am currently reading, I showed in one of my last update vlogs of being on my TBR, and I have picked it up, and that is Anna Karenina by Leo Tolstoy. Going in to this book, like most of the books, I don't know a lot about them because I like to go in not really knowing, I want to find out what it's about. But I had heard that if you wanted to read Tolstoy, this was a decent place to start. And so I said, sure. I think classics get a bad rap, especially these days. I think one of those reasons and a part of that bad rap is people think or feel that they're boring. And while I wholeheartedly disagree with that, of course, some of them are boring, just like some movies today are boring while some aren't boring. So based on which ones you pick. But there are plenty of classics that are not boring and are incredible. I feel like it's a pretty safe thing to say that classics can start slow. And then on top of that, if you're not used to reading like older English, starting off slow and you don't even know what's going on. So it can take a lot of effort to get into the story. So that's where people, I think, would say that classics are boring. And there have been classics that I have enjoyed, but do think that they start kind of slow. This, however, does not start slow. Honestly, you jump right into this family where the husband has just been caught cheating on his wife, and his wife is distraught, and the husband doesn't really care. He's more like, my wife being upset that I was unfaithful is more of an inconvenience than anything. He keeps like forgetting she's upset with him and like going on with his day, doing his normal thing, and then he's like, oh, right, I should be upset. My wife caught me cheating on her. And so it just jumps right into this scandal and you're like, what is happening? So I'm pleasantly surprised with how this book starts. I am 220 pages in so far, and it's really just about people and their relationships. So like I said, the opening, Oblonsky family opens up with being found out for cheating on his wife. And then there's Anna, who's this high society woman a lot of people look up to, and her husband, and there's a scandal there as well, and younger folk who are trying to get married and navigate the dating life in Russia. And so it's just really about relationships, it seems so far. It's just like these people living in the society that they live in, dealing with very human desires and problems and sins in life. The back says it's a tragedy, so I guess it's going to be sad. But right now, it's just a lot of affairs. And that might sound boring or like, I don't know how you feel about that. A lot of the issues that people are dealing with and the feelings and emotions that people are battling with is pretty timeless. So I'm pleasantly surprised with how Anna Karenina is going. But I'm also like a little, not confused, but like the back describes Anna Karenina, the main character, the title of the book, as being one of the most loved and memorable heroines of literature. And I feel like that's a strong claim, considering I had never heard of her before. And being 220 pages in, she's dealing with feelings of unfaithfulness to her husband, and she's painting her husband as the evil one. But honestly, I don't know if I'm misinterpreting what she's saying and what he's saying, but he seems like a reasonable guy. He honestly seems like he's just trying to have a good marriage, and she's out here making that difficult. So honestly, I feel like I don't like her that much because she's the one destroying her marriage seemingly for no real good reason other than the fact that she's falling in love with somebody else. She's trying to say her husband's an evil guy, but actually I don't think he is. Like, I haven't seen any proof of him being a terrible husband. He seems like a decent guy to me. So that opening line of her being the most loved and memorable heroine of literature, I'm a little skeptical and waiting for her to do something amazing. Yeah, that's what I'm reading right now. I'm really enjoying it. So throughout this week, I'm going to be reading Anna Karenina. This week also happens to be a week that I have a lot of baking to do. It was kind of a lull, like during Christmas time, I always like bake a bunch because, you know, holidays, seeing people, all that good stuff. So I bake a ton over the holidays, and then it's kind of dropped off, obviously, in the new year. But this week I have stuff going on. On Monday, I baked bread, and I bake bread most weeks because we have to have gluten-free bread. I found a really good recipe for gluten-free bread that's really easy, and I would say better than the store-bought gluten-free loafed bread you can get. And then this week we are trying a baked oatmeal recipe. It's called Big Boy Oats. It's high-calorie, high-protein, very filling breakfast oats that I'm trying. That way my husband doesn't have to make breakfast before he goes to work. If he doesn't want to, he can just have the pre-made baked oatmeal. So a little bit of meal prepping. So I baked all of that on Monday. And then today's Wednesday, I have to bake some muffins for tonight for a gathering of some friends. And then this weekend, I have to do more baking because I'm having friends over for a little Valentines party. And how can you have a Valentines party without fun desserts? Oh, I also, yesterday, this isn't necessarily baking, it was dinner. I made a pot pie, and it was beautiful and delicious. So a lot of cooking, a lot of baking going on this week. So I thought that'd be fun to share because I enjoy cooking and baking and delicious food. Today we're making muffins, we're reading, having a good time. See you later. thing about having leftover dough. I can taste this one, see if it's any good. Good. So I am now about halfway through Anna Karenina, and I'm enjoying it right now at the halfway point. Do I think it's amazing? Do I think it's like gonna be a new favorite? No, but I'm not suffering through it. Like I am enjoying it, so that's good. So at this point, I think I misunderstood the fact that apparently Anna is a most beloved heroine of literature because she's been cheating on her husband. Now she's confessed to cheating on her husband. Her husband is upset about it, but he's like, I knew, like I'm not surprised, but he's like, I don't want to ruin my name, our name. I don't want to ruin our social dynamics. I don't want people to know about this. I don't want this to affect our lives. So basically, I don't care what you do, just don't bring him here and don't let anybody find out about it. And while that's really sad, honestly, that's like best case scenario for her. She doesn't get divorced, her name is saved, and she can continue to have this affair. There's a chapter where Vronsky, the man she's having an affair with, is like, if her and her husband get divorced, what am I gonna do? I don't have any money. So if Anna's husband was like, okay, then we're getting a divorce, she would kind of be left with nothing, because especially in this time, in this society, like a woman getting divorced, that's like alienating her from society. And now her lover has admitted that he couldn't even support her if she got divorced from her husband. I'm like, girl, you should be happy that your husband is just like, fine, whatever, just don't let me see it. We're gonna keep this on the down low. That way we don't ruin either of our names. That's like best case scenario for her. Of course, now at this point, she's broken the one rule her husband gave her. She had Vronsky come to the house and, you know, he saw him and everything. And he didn't even do anything. Like he literally was the one who answered the door because Vronsky knocked on the door, because that's what you do. You knock on the door to your lover's house when the husband might be home. And he literally just like lets him in and is upset about it, isn't happy about it, but just lets it happen. And basically he's like, that's it, I can't live like this. So he's going to try and file for a divorce. Also, Anna is convinced she's about to die. I don't really know why exactly, but she's convinced she's gonna die. So that's where I am halfway through this book. And I think, like, I guess if you look at it in a certain way, I don't know, I'm just not really understanding her being a most beloved female character of literature because she's just cheating on her husband. And I don't know if that's supposed to be like girl power. If that's the case, I disagree with that. I don't think cheating on somebody, man or woman, is a good thing to do. So, especially since like the husband's not a bad guy. Like if he was evil, terrible to her or abusing her or whatever, that would be a different scenario. If he was like an abuser, but he's not. He's not. He's just living his life and now his wife's cheating on him. If her cheating on her husband is supposed to be lovable and like girl power, I disagree with that. But we'll see. I'm only halfway through. I don't know what's gonna happen. Yeah, I just wanted to update. That's where I am. See you later. I realized I never said bye. That's gonna do it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you think about anything down below. And hopefully I'll see you soon. I'll see you in the next one. And until next time, Star Wars. See you later.